All right, going back to Frontline Assembly.
Yes.
And Jim VanBebber. Jim VanBebber set the lead singer, blanking on his name.
Bill Weed.
Bill Weed, yes.
Yeah.
He literally set him on fire for the trailer of Chunk Blower.
Which Gary Smith produced.
Okay.
Yes, and that was Plasma Films, which was Gary's company. That was the original connection with me. And in fact, the first thing I did with Gary was the video for Frontline was Virus, which he had already done some editing with, but he wanted to take it up a level. So he approached me and said, "Well, I don't have a budget." I'm like, "Whatever, I would love to do it." And so he came into the studio. We went at it one night, and that was the beginning of our relationship, actually. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I did some work on the Chunk Blower trailer. I can't remember exactly what I did, but yes, yeah, that all went down for sure.
Well, I didn't know you worked on it. Do you recall a time period when it was finalized that nothing beyond the trailer was ever gonna come to fruition out of that?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to edit the film Chunk Blower, and so we'd already established that. And yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of indie films, things just you have great ideas and whatnot, but life gets in the way of things, and that happened. So yeah, the film just kind of went off into the ether at that point. But lots of other cool things happened.
And you were saying there was no connection with Jim after that?
Not
or after the Skinny Puppy tours?
No.
So he wasn't calling you up for Gator Green when he was doing that?
No.
Would you have been there?
I don't know. Depends. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of my own stuff going on at that point. So yeah.
That's fair. Did you catch Frontline Assembly when they came through with Ministry and Gery Numan?
No. I worked with Gary in the past. I did the second iteration of Cars, the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I flew them over for London. It was with Fear Factory. So they had recorded the song, and it was becoming really popular when they were playing it live. So they decided to make a music video and record it, and Gary agreed to come over. So Gary and his wife Gemma came over, and we spent a week together, basically. Yeah.
You mentioned a few bands you've worked with that have all been to Vancouver recently that you didn't catch the show. I was wondering, do you go out much to catch shows?
No, I'm not really. I'll probably get pulled for this. I don't really go out to live shows very often.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do occasionally, but it has to be something really special for me. And I like being on stage. I'm not a big fan of being in a room with like a gazillion people. I especially will never go to a stadium show because I don't even see the point of it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Nick Cave in small theaters and then in an arena. And if I wasn't on the floor in the arena, it would have been a complete total waste.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
100%. Especially that type of show. It's pretty interactive.
Yeah. Well, the last time I saw Nick was in Budapest, as I told you earlier. We were playing Ziget, which is a big festival that's on the island between Budapest and Pest. And we played. We were on the bill just before Nick, and our drummer's wife who's a magical being, had disappeared for a while and then came back with the most amazing ecstasy that I've ever taken in my life, which we all took, and then we just sat on the side of the stage while Nick played.
Oh. Did you have any interaction with?
Yeah. I mean, I actually worked with Gwar and Ellis on one of my films in the past. Yeah.
Oh, what was that?
It was for a dance company called the Holy Bloody Tattoo. We were doing a piece in Paris, and Warren did a bunch of solo violin work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whenabouts was that?
God, that would have been like mid 2000s, probably too early.
Still beardless with brown hair then.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's already answered. On the topic, okay, all right. On the topic of documentaries.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting into it. Did you see this one?
Which one is it?
This is Gwar.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
Oh well, we were talking about this earlier. This is where they talked about a director coming in from Canada to shoot the film and then having a mental breakdown and leaving. And then the way they word it is we were basically left to pick up the scraps afterward. But you finished the job, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, stories can get distorted through decades, obviously. No, what happened was we had pitched the band on doing the film, which they agreed to. And I was supposed to direct Gwar, which is going to be the video for MTV, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to talk shit about anybody, but the person who was supposed to direct the bulk of the film, when I showed up, the producer and that person went in a month in advance down to hang out with Gwar at the Slate Pit. And when I showed up, basically nothing had been accomplished, and the band was kind of freaking out. And so they sort of took me aside and said, "Hey, you know, we awarded you guys this gig based on you, not on anybody else. And if you want to take over, we're 100% behind you." And they were cool about it, right? So we tried to kind of like support this other person to some degree, and it didn't work out in very short order, so I just took over. I got along great with the band, and they were amazing, and it was I lived in the Slate Pit for a month and shot the film. Then a small bunch of us came back to Vancouver, including Hunter Jackson, and who was a really good friend, and I still am in touch with Hunter. He was Techno Destructo.
Yep.
And yeah, so we holed up for a month. It was over Christmas, I think, because the facility I was working in was basically shut down for the holidays, and brought our sleeping bags and we're like sleeping on the floor of the studio, and we finished the film here in Vancouver.
Well, in the documentary, Dirks was definitely more forgiving than Hunter in regards to the situation with the director. I mean, Dirks had said, you know, this is a director put between Hunter and Dave Brockie, and he's like, that's the worst position you could be, is telling these two people what to do. I was wondering, did you experience any static? Or?
No, not at all.
Oh, no, what?
No, Dave was like super supportive.
Okay.
Yeah, no, everybody was. I mean, they're like, Gwar is, you know, I mean, the original version of Gwar that I worked with, were a bunch of art students, you know, and they were all like not only super creative, but, you know, amazing fine artists, and also, you know, they could construct anything, you know, and the Slate Pit was just like this. It was super DIY for sure, but it was amazing, you know, what they could put together and make work, and you think, you know, like all the animatronics and all the stuff that we did for that film, incredible engineering, you know, and no, we were like joined at the hip. It was a great experience on that level. Everybody just wanted to try to make something cool. We knew that we were doing it like in a DIY fashion, and it was not going to be like Hollywood by any stretch. But we were also, you know, and we had Gibby Haynes from the Butthole Surfers, you know, the film as well, who was a maniac, and it was, you know, it was just a really lit time in terms of personalities and whatnot. But no, I had like 100% support from those guys. Never had a problem with them. They were amazing on set to work with. Dave was, you know, he's a big personality for sure, but he was a sweetheart.
How does the film stand with you today?
I think it's hilarious. You know, I mean, it is like, I mean, I'm not going to put it on my demo reel. My favorite part of this, was after the fact when we got nominated for Grammy, and my mom found out, and she's like, "Oh, well, can you send us a copy of the film? We really want to see it." And I said, "Mom, if you watch this film, you will disown me as your son." And to her credit, she just said, "Okay."
John Waters, it's rated NP, no parents. That's what he said about Pink Flamingos.
Yeah. The producer of Phallus, Dean English, showed it to his parents, and his mom cried. I was like, "Why did you do that?"
Now, on the topic of disownal, most directors, when they attach a pseudonym to their work, it's to disown the work, but you don't sound like that was the intention at all.
No, we just thought it was, I mean, Gwar was, so the other director was Judas Bullhorn, which was actually really good. And Distortion Wells was mine, and our cinematographer, Adam Slawinski, who was taught me a lot about cinematography and in general at that point in my career. Shot most of my stuff before I started shooting, and I was always into doing like crazy angles, and so he decided to call me Distortion Wallace. It was my nickname. So when the film happened, we decided it would be funnier to use. I wasn't worried about the association. I'd already been doing crazy shit with Skinny Puppy and all that stuff. So it's like, it's not like I'm worried about people associating like something that's perverse or whatever from Gwar with me or anything like that.
Okay, no, I was just curious because and then I wondered, being Grammy nominated, did you regret not attaching your name to it?
No, because I mean, I still am. When I put out my CV or whatever, I mentioned that I have a Grammy nomination. That's it was.
You just don't show what for.
No, I do actually. I don't care. It's like, I mean, that film is just one of those things that is, it's so bad it's good kind of thing.
Oh, totally.
And we knew that. Like it wasn't lost on us. It's especially with the the limited budget and the technology that we had to work with. I knew what it was going to look like, and considering the special, the effects and everything that we did, like Have You Seen Me, for instance. That stuff was done before any of the desktop stuff that that allows you to do that stuff easily now existed. I did that all with videotape, which was crazy. Like I'd be running like 5 tape machines simultaneously, to make that stuff happen, and it was fun. And we Gwar never took themselves seriously in that regard. Even though that album to me is like a really serious record, I think it's great. America Must Be Destroyed is incredible.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and I mean, it was there's so many stories from that shoot. I mean, it's and it was just it was just. I remember when we were shooting Have You Seen Me, and Gibby comes up to me and says, like, do you want me to stick to the script? Because we had a script and whatnot, and I was like, no, actually, I just kind of want you to riff on it, and that's what he walks out on set, and at the beginning of that video, and he's like, Sleazy, these children, they are giving me a monumental erection, and we're all just like losing it behind the camera. But are they going to be animated enough for my shoot? And that was like not in the script. And then and we called cut on that, and then one of the slaves from the slave pit comes up with this giant fucking penis on it, and he's like totally serious. He goes, "Hey Will, is this the part where I come in the cereal bowl?" And like I don't think I'd slept for 3 days at that point, and I'm like through the script, I'm like, no, that's in about 20 minutes. That was kind of the nature of the shoot. And then there was like this moment when we were shooting Danielle's scene where she transforms into the into the snake at the end, mm-hmm. And this guy is body painting her, and at some point she's I can tell she's starting to have trouble, right? And it's getting worse. And I turn to the guy and I'm like, "Are you using like body paint or are you using real paint?" And he's like, "Oh no, it's real paint." And at this point, she's almost covered. And I'm like, are you in your mind? Because that's completely toxic, right? And then she starts passing out. And she's naked at this point, and it's cold. And so I open the door of the slave pit, and I carry her outside, throw her on the ground, get a bar of soap, and a hose with cold water, and I scrub all this paint off her, and take her inside, and she was like delirious at that point.
Isn't that what happened in Goldfinger?
Yeah.
Right? James Bond, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
get us together, boys.
Yeah, I know. It was like I had no idea, and it was just that moment where, so that happened, and then I mean, there's so many stories from that shoot, and we didn't sleep much. There was I think 2 stretches where I didn't sleep for 3 days at a time, because like I said, no pre-production had been done, so I'd be at night after we finished shooting for 12 hours. I'd be like, writing up the scenes and scripts and shots for the next day and whatnot, and there was one moment where Gibby almost started a huge gunfight in a bar downtown in Richmond. There was there was this fan that used to send greeting cards to Gwar, and the back of the card would be a sheet of acid.
They say in the documentary, they talk about a super fan that would send bottles of liquid LSD.
Yeah, but he would they would be blotters, right? So so the last night, and again, I had been up for 3 days straight. And I went over to Liz was the manager at the time, her name, and I went over to Liz's place, and we were going to have like a rap party at a bar nearby, and I was just so exhausted, and I laid down on her floor and immediately fell asleep. And I woke up and there was 2 pieces of pizza on my chest and a couple tabs of acid. So I ate the pizza and then took the acid. And I went to this after party and everybody was on acid. And it was the fucking weirdest thing ever. You know, it was just, and it was weird because I was like, it was so compressed. I'd been working with these people for, you know, a month basically, and it just had been total work, but I really didn't have that much time to, you know, other than just sort of bond, you know, due to the fact that we were working together, to really get to know them. And it was just all that, this emotional outpouring that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
And, you know, while you're tripping, and I was like, I'm out of here.
So you left the rap party?
I left the rap party. I'm walking down the street in Richmond, Virginia, and I see this party happening in this house. So I just wander in, and there's Confederate flags everywhere, and it was just like this complete, like, you know, for lack of a better term, white trash party, I guess. And I just was, and I was, you know, just tripping balls at that point. And then so I walked out of there, went back to Liz's place, and sat on the porch and just like kind of listened to the sounds of Richmond at night. And that was my last moments in Richmond, Virginia, until I met up with them to do Saddam Go, like, which I think was a few years later.
Yeah, 94.
Yeah.
Would that have been for Ragnarok, the album?
I don't even remember what album it was, honestly. Yeah. No, I mean, it was there was so many interesting experience. I mean, I'd have to really sit down and write the whole thing out, honestly. It was just one thing after another, and you know, it was.
Were you ever approached when this documentary was being made?
No.
No. Were you put off by that at all when you saw it?
I didn't even know there was a documentary made. So no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You just found it now when I showed it to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow! Holy shit!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
Are you pissed off now?
No, I'm not pissed. I don't need any notoriety in my work. I mean, it's like, to me, like the thing that is important is the adventures. In the world of creativity and whatnot, you know, it's things happen in like little bubbles, you know, and I, you know, and I've been really, you know, for lack of a better word, blessed to experience like all this really amazing stuff. Not just in music, but also in the world of cinema as well. And traveling around the world, shooting, you know, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's the jazz for me. I don't care about like what other people think, or, you know, or being notorious, or, you know, having like any sort of stature or anything like that based on that.
I just thought in this regard, you know, it's all about, like, a documentary is meant to be informative, and you're somebody with information that nobody else would have as the director of the film. You know, that's what I was saying more so than I didn't get my comeuppance. Is
right.
You have information that is viable to a documentary.
Yeah, but I mean, it's there's, you know, that's just, a documentary is made by a person generally, or a group of people, and they have a perspective, and they're going to mold a story to be what they want it to be, and you know, you just never know. I mean, it's like, that's a long time ago that I made that film, so maybe they don't even know, you know, about my involvement in that regard. So yeah, whatever. I don't care. It's like I'm onto other things.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Okay, with that film, Metal Blade says Gwar have the rights to it, and Gwar have said that Metal Blade has the rights to it. Do you have any clarification on this topic? No, eh?
Mike Faley was the guy for Metal Blade that was, I think he was the owner of Metal Blade, or the head honcho at the time. I don't know where that ownership lands.
I also read on Wikipedia that you were never paid for your work on that film?
I mean, we basically used the entire budget to make the film, so I can't remember. I probably made a little bit of money, or I just, like, my expenses were paid. I think that was really what it was. So I didn't pay for my plane tickets or anything like that, or you know, and whatnot. But no, I don't think I ever made any money. In fact, I had to really get after Mike Faley to get the last $10,000 that was owed to the post-production facility for that film, which is not uncommon in the music business. But he paid it, and it was fine in the end. And you know, But no, I don't think I really made any money from it. I wasn't really looking to make money from it.
Because I know that the DVD itself has been out of print forever, and they cite that not knowing who owns the rights to it is the reason why.
Yeah.
But it was re-released when they remastered, what you brought up earlier, along with this with Tour de Scum.
Okay.
Did you see anything from that? I think that was 2015, so
No.
that's much more recent.
No. I mean, I have the original master.
09, sorry.
Yeah, which is on a tape format that would be almost impossible to recover. You'd have to buy a machine, and it's a D2, it's a composite digital format that doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, so I still hold the original master for the project.
So you can undercut them with a 4K scan and put that out?
Well, I could. I mean, you know, it's, with the AI technology that's out there right now, you can take standard definition films and make them high def without any loss in resolution.
Yeah, some of the old, like, some 4K scans of old films you see are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's wild, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm wondering, I worded it this way. You would think after all the complications, just due to everything they have said about the making of film, but you've made it sound like once you got the reins, it was very smooth sailing from there.
Well, I wouldn't say smooth sailing. I mean, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was...
But it wasn't combative like they said it was with the previous...
Well, no, it was with him. Yeah, I mean, they were...
For you, it wasn't.
No, not at all. I mean, once I took over, everything was fine. You know, and it was very much a collaborative effort. Everybody was in 100%. So it was, there was no problems, other than the fact that we were just, you know, working night and day, literally. Like the slave pit, like the day that we wrapped, after I scrubbed Danielle, Slime Master, you know, of all that paint, and had her in a blanket in the slave pit, I looked around, and, you know, I was delirious because I'd been up for 3 days. And the whole place was just like rubble, you know, because all the sets and everything, you know, with Gwar, we had destroyed everything that was built, like literally. And there was like, you know, old food and stuff, like just it was just like, ugh. It was hilarious. It was kind of beautiful, actually.
So you knew what you were in for when you went back 2 years later to do Sedema Go-Go.
Yeah.
That was just a music video, not a feature film.
Yes.
Was that... I imagine that would have been a much easier shoot.
It was, and it was super fun because I went on tour with them for a little bit, right? And we shot a couple live shows, and and it was just fun being on. I was like literally on stage with the camera. I probably got knocked on my ass more than once. You know, and Danielle's a classic because she's just such a crazy person in the best kind of way. I love her, but you know, there was a couple moments where we were shooting at Hammerjacks in not Seattle, sorry. What was it? Hammerjacks in what's that really violent city that's in the east of America where The Wire was made?
Chicago?
No, not Chicago. No. Hammerjacks. Baltimore.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start over. So we were shooting at Hammerjacks in Baltimore, which is in a pretty rough neighborhood. And there was, you know, Danielle had her pussy thing that would shoot blood all over the audience.
Yeah.
And when we had 2 camera positions for that particular shoot, I did some of the stuff I did on stage, and then at different shows I would go to like get wide shots of the show and whatnot. And I was shooting on 16mm. We had 2 16mm cameras and SR2s, and I said to, knowing her at this point as well as I did, I said, Danielle, I'm going to be up on that podium, and I know what you're going to do, but don't do it because you're going to wreck the camera. Because that thing that she had with the compressor on it would shoot like a long ways, right?
Yeah.
And so classic, she just like hikes up her leg and fucking nails me. And then, you know, she spits fire during the show as well, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm on stage this time, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. Just can you spit it just like a little off to the left, right over my head? You know, and anyways.
You know, I'm sure lots of photographers that have shot Gwar shows have taken some mishaps over the years. It's a lot of liquid going around.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I was getting waterboarded for half the show last night.
No, I love it. It's super fun, and it was really like being on stage handheld. And I did this one shot where I brought on that shoot a gentleman named Jolly Roger, who was one of our tour guides from Skinny Puppy. And Jolly's almost 7 feet tall, and he's this huge indigenous guy who's like Vietnam veteran, like just like a fucking powerhouse. Like people like just wilt in fear when they see him. He's a total sweetheart. And so I'm like, Jolly, I want to go into the mosh pit. He's like, with the camera. He's like, so he like grabs me and literally picks me up with a 16mm camera and walks me in, and we went right through the mosh pit. And so any of the mosh pit shots you see are actually with this.
You're being carried.
I'm being carried by this giant man.
That's awesome.
And yeah, no, that was a fun shoot. It was yeah, it was easy comparatively. Yeah.
To wrap up the Gwar things, are there any other final remarks you have about your time with Gwar?
Well, the Grammys was really fun. I got a call from Liz a year, I think, after we had delivered Phallus, and Liz calls me up and said, "Hey, we got nominated for a Grammy." And this is exactly how the conversation went down. I was like, "Fuck off, Liz." And she's like, no, I'm serious, and I'm sending you the tickets. I was like, okay, I'll believe that when I see it. And that was the end of the conversation. And then a few days later, the ticket showed. And so, yeah, my girlfriend and I jumped in the car. I went down and stayed with the Ogre, and then we went to the Grammys. It was a really interesting experience. You know, I almost didn't go to the show because I was like, do I really want to go to like a big award show kind of thing? But I'm glad I went, and our DP Adam and producer came down as well, and we all went together, and I met Weird Al Yankovic that night.
Okay, yeah.
And he was one of the people that nominated us.
Well, he's in the documentary. He's a Gwar fan.
Yeah. So that was funny, but we met a lot of people that night, and it was I mean, the show was kind of amazing, and there was. I think Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson that was the Grammys where he was on stage, you know, talking about how everybody hated him and all this kind of stuff, and who else played? I think the Chili Peppers played, oh God, who else? There was a bunch of people. It was just, yeah, we just met. It was just a weird thing, all of a sudden being thrust into the Hollywood mainstream, and just the way that we were dressed and everything. Everybody was treating us like we were, you know, rock stars or whatever. And
well, they showed up in costume, and they were told get out and come back with suits on.
Yeah. No, the president of the Grammys had a problem with Gwar, and it was funny because I was dressed in a fairly, you know, I had my head. Actually, there's a story from Phallus. So the producer, we had run out of film at one point, and I was like, dude, I'll pay for it. Let's just get another roll of film because we need to at least finish the scene. And he said, if you shave your head, because I had like long hair like you do at that time, and he said, if you shave your head, I'll get you another roll of film. And Hunter shows up immediately with you know.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I'm going to shave your head.
It's
like,
going down.
Yeah. I said, okay. So he gave me a traditional Chinese haircut, like, you know, old school. Like, so my head was shaved back to here, and I had my hair down on my ass, and I really liked it, so I kept it. And yeah, I went to the Grammys, and my girlfriend at the time had made me these crushed blue velvet pants. I had Doc Martens up to my knees and this really old vintage tux on, and we're walking up the steps of the shrine. And I get a tap on my back, and I turn around, and there's this woman with a whole bunch of bodyguards, and she says, I just want to tell you I love what you're wearing. And I said, oh, thanks. And I turn around, and everybody in my crew is like, and I was like, what? And they're like, that was Carole King.
Oh wow.
and that just kept happening all night, you know, and it was really fun. It was a really fun experience.
In the doc, Brad, the drummer, he talks about hitting on Shaka Khan in costume before her security grabbed him and ousted him away. And they all said, you know, it turned out that the Grammy ceremony was kind of lame, but the parties afterward were pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But there was no stories about those parties afterward.
Well, I went to the main party that was at the Biltmore Hotel, and they had, like, you know, Woody Herman's big band in one room, and there was like a bunch of different artists and famous chefs that were doing like food and stuff like that. So it was like each room had a theme. And I think that the band didn't go to that party. I think they went to the label party or something, one of the other parties. So I actually don't know what went down with that. Yeah, I mean, we just had a really nice time, and it was. But the president of the Grammys came up to me at one point because everybody was, the way that my girlfriend and I were dressed was a little more extreme than anybody else in the place. And so we kept getting like paparazzi taking our pictures, and it was just constant.
Oh, okay.
So people were like, "Ooh, who are they?" And so all these people were asking us. And the president of the Grammys came up, and he gave me a Grammy pin, which I think is right there. And he said, "Oh, who are you with?" I said, "Oh, I'm with Gwar." And then he was like, "Oh."
Let me take that back.
But anyways, and there was a moment I was chatting up this really lovely young English girl, and my girlfriend was off hobnobbing with some other stars or whatever, and so we're having this great conversation, and her dad walks into the conversation and says, introduces himself. He says, "Hello, my name's Patrick." It was Patrick Stewart.
Okay.
And we all ended up having a great conversation. It was just a fun night. Yeah.
That was the first and last Grammy celebration, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Now the roster of artists you've worked with is it's long in names and wide in genres, to say the least.
Yeah.
Like from one-offs with Biff Naked.
Yes.
I believe there was a one-off video.
No, I did 3 videos for Biff, and I was engaged to her at one point.
Oh. Wikipedia needs to update its information. It said one video.
No, I did the first video I did for Biff was Daddy's Getting Married, which was the original, which I don't even think is out there anymore, which was better than the second one that we did, because we did a remake. They wanted us to redo it for some reason, and then we got involved and we were together for, I don't know, like a year or two or something like that. We lived together.
Oh, wow, eh?
Yeah.
Biff Naked.
Yeah, she was wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah, couldn't say it. She was just great.
Yeah. I feel obligated to share this story. I'll feel bad, but whatever. She played in my hometown, and I was like, Biff Naked, it'll be a rockin' time.
Yeah.
If I remember being like 6, like, who's this babe on Much Music?
Yeah.
I don't mean to put an age on you or anything.
Sure.
But I was like, it'll be a high energy rockin' night. Let's go. Go to the bar. There's no amps on the stage. There's no drum kit. I'm like, oh, are they late? What's going on? And she walked out with a guy with an acoustic guitar, sang a couple songs acoustically, then talked to the crowd for like 20 minutes, and then did a couple more acoustic. And I'm like, if you were a diehard Biff Naked fan, it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But going to a Biff Naked show wasn't at all what was expected. I was like, and you could tell like half the bar was like, what?
Right.
This would have been 2016, 17.
Oh yeah, I think.
Around there,
I mean, I feel like later on she sort of got more into spoken word and things. I don't know. We didn't keep in touch over the years, but I mean, when I was with her and we were doing stuff together, it was very much when she was like in like full on rockin' mode and whatnot. And then she went on to do quite well for herself. And but a great character. She was really hilarious. Like on stage and off, she was pretty much the same kind of person.
That's cool. Very cool. Yeah, she dominated Much Music for like a period of time.
Sure.
Big time.
Yeah.
I remember that well. The Big Shiny Tunes era.
Yeah.
All right, and also you've done a ton of work with Matthew Goode of the Matthew Goode Band.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? Because that's real far from everything else we've discussed here earlier. I know there's a ton of other people you've worked with, but that was a real steady one for a decent amount of time.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 videos, 10 years. So Dave Genn, who is now playing with 5440, was the guitar player, and Dave was part of the whole music scene here in Vancouver. Was playing with Dead Circus, DSK, and we were friends, so we just were in the same circles, and I was doing quite well as a music video director at that point, and it was funny because Dave hit me up and he said, I'm playing with this guy Matthew Goode. I don't think you'll be interested in this music. But the fact is that I listen to all kinds of music, so that I don't think maybe he wasn't aware of just how wide the spectrum of music is that I listen to, and so he sent me the track, and it was Everything Is Automatic, which was the first video. And they were doing so well as an indie band that they had made enough money that they could fund their own video to the tune of I think it was like 40 grand or something like that. And I listened to the track, and I remember I phoned Dave and I was like, "Dude, I'm super down. I love this track. It's great." And he's like, "Why do you like it?" Like, he didn't believe me, right? And I liked it because Matt was doing stuff that was sort of counterculture, and he was smart in that regard and was willing to take risks. And so we made that video, and it blew up pretty quickly on Much Music. And then we did, I can't remember the sequence of videos because we did so many together, but the one thing that really kind of was the game changer was the video for Apparitions.
Okay.
And do you know that song?
Maybe to hear it.
Yeah, so it was interesting because we originally, at that point, the budgets were pretty big for the videos, and we wanted to go to Mexico and make this really elaborate video that was, basically a drama, and they didn't want, the record company didn't want to fund it to that extent. So we ended up coming up with this idea of this character who's Matt, because Matt's actually just like one of those people, just natural actor, right? And he's a janitor and has a really lame job in this building, and the whole thing was based on just the different levels of the building, about high a tower representing different levels of society and the way that people are treated and stuff like that, and it was this kind of very strange narrative that the band was in, but there was no performance, nothing like that. And we finished the video, sent it to Much Music. We had guns and drugs and things in it that were kind of taboo for Much Music to put in the air. And and the video cost about 100 grand, I think it was. And then the review board at Much Music, it got caught up for weeks. And it appeared that they were not going to release the video on Much Music at that point, which was a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge waste.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people who didn't understand the video or even like it. Matt and I were, we were super behind it, but even some of the other band members were and it was a very weird experience. And what happened was Denise Donlan, who was the president of City at that point, literally walked in to one of their meetings that they have at Much Music, and I know because a friend of mine was high up at City TV at the time, and she just walked in the door and said, "Put that video in the air right now," and it went to #1 for 3 months.
Good pull to have.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, it was a huge success. It was in ultra heavy rotation and became one of the Much mega hits and all that kind of stuff.
When something like that happens, does the person that was playing roadblock, do they get put in their place, or?
I wouldn't say put in their place, but what happened after that was they were just it was a blank check after that, kind of the label was not going to question us after that, because we had proven that our formula, if you will, that's how they would view it, was successful. And for us it was just I was never interested in making rock videos where people are miming to their song. I did a few of those. I didn't mind doing them if it was people were really amazing performers and it was just fun to watch. But that wasn't really never my style. So with Matt, the thing that was fun was we would just sit and, Matt would phone me up and he'd just written a song like Apparitions or whatever. I think he did that with Apparitions actually. He just calls me up and he's like, "Here's the next song. It's going to be a hit. I'm telling you." Puts the phone on the bed and plays it to me as an acoustic guitar. And, did that numerous times. And then we would start, brainstorming ideas. He would always have a ton of ideas. And it was for quite a while. It was a really, really successful collaboration. And it's fun to look back on it now.
In regards to all the music video shooting you've done through the years, all right, I was wondering, what was the most chaotic shoot, what was the most personally gratifying, and what was the most insufferable?
Chaotic, probably Gwar. Just the
That's fair.
yeah, the mechanics of doing it. Gratifying. That's, I mean, like when you're saying shoot, do you mean like the end product or the actual process of shooting it?
Either or.
End product. I think one of my favorite videos to this day, even though it was kind of hard to make, was Killing Game.
Okay.
I still, considering the technology that I had to work with at the time, it's like that, and it's also a very deeply personal video for me on some levels. And yeah, I really like that as a piece that stands through time for me. And I look at it now and I'm like, yeah, that still stands up. And I also know that video was very influential for other music video directors at the time. And the most, what was the third one?
The most insufferable.
Insufferable. Oof. Oh, I'm not going to say.
Oh!
No, I'm not, because I just don't want to out anybody, but there was a couple. Yeah, there was a few that...
Was it diva antics? Was it technological?
I will take responsibility for the fact that I engage... Like, I'm the kind of artist that if I do something that I don't really love, I'm not going to do a good job. And there was a couple of music videos that I made that I really think are crap, honestly. That were really due to the fact that I engaged with an artist for the wrong reason.
Oh, okay.
For somebody who was like... Because I got to the point where... I was so successful as a music video director in Canada that, like everything I was making was charting and things were, I did a video for the Rascals called Top of the World, which was really fun, with Barrington Levy, who's a famous Jamaican dancehall singer. That video, I looked at the year-end stats for Much Music, and the only video that got more airplay was a Madonna video that year.
Oh, wow.
It was a big deal. And that was an interesting shoot. It was, but the end product was, it's still to this day. It's like it's got millions and millions of views on YouTube still, And but no, I mean, there's a few videos where somebody who's a friend asked me to do something for them or whatever, and it was not music that I could really relate to or engage to, and and went outside my wheelhouse conceptually, probably in a way that I shouldn't have, and really was not happy with the end product. But I'm not going to name names at this. Yeah.
Well, you're owning up that a lot of that is due to you, not anyone else's behavior or something on set. That's what I was saying, more like, this is the scene. No, I'm not doing that. I don't need to do. That's what I was. There's a lot
of. I was very like with labels, because I always had a job, like working in industry. I didn't need the money, to survive. I wasn't like a starving filmmaker. And I remember once I think it was A&M, the head of A&M, I was on the phone with this guy, and he's yelling at me. And he said, "You mean to tell me that I'm going to give you $90,000 and you're not even going to put the band in the video?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I hung up on him. And the next day, he gave me $90,000. So, I mean, I've always stuck to my guns too.
What video was that?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, I'm going to have to go through them all.
But it was one of those things where I'm not a person who spreads dirt on people or anything like that, and it was just, but I was like that. I was very much like that with people from labels. I'm very standoffish, but I mean, I grew up with artists like Skinny Puppy, so it's like, they weren't putting up with anybody. Yeah, it's like, we're going to do what we do, and nobody's going to tell us what to do. And so that was my mentality, and I feel very grateful that I was raised in that kind of environment, because that's the difference between people who end up doing, a lot of shit that they don't want to do for money, and people that do stuff that they love.
That's fair. Very fair. You said this morning you had a shoot. You were working last night. What are you doing these days that keeps you busy?
Well, right now, so I teach at Capilano University. I teach cinematography, post-production, animation, the drone program as well. So in the second semester, I'm working like literally 24/7. Like, my email's been going off the entire time, and I guarantee it's all from the university. And it's great. I love it. It's really fun to work with people that are coming up as filmmakers. And I'm still working in the industry myself, so it's not a full-time gig, but along with the client stuff that I do and the other work that I do right now, it's a lot. So I'm kind of working around the clock until the end of May, and then I got some downtime.
Being involved in a film school, working with one, I'm blanking. Who's the director that said the first thing you want to do when you get out of film school is unlearn everything you learned in film school?
Yeah.
Where do you stand with that?
I'm the reason I was brought into this film school was to be that guy, because I've always been an independent director and producer, and I was a series producer in Los Angeles, and I produce a lot of series television as well. So I have a lot of legitimate industry experience that is not music videos.
Yeah.
And I've traveled the world for a couple decades making broadcast television as well, alongside of all of this other work that I've done. So that's another aspect of my career that we haven't even talked about. But I'm still very much the DIY punk rock filmmaker at my heart. In my heart, and so the faculty from it's Capilano University. I think part of the reason they brought me in was that I am that kind of person that walks in the door, looks at the students, and says, "Hey, there's another way to do this," and they kind of embrace that, which is what I love about the school. So yeah, I have especially with my documentary students who tend to be a little bit older than the motion picture art students. We've all become my alumni. We're all friends now, and we hang out. We make films together, and we're starting this really vibrant indie film community in Vancouver, which is sorely lacking. And
really, you'd think anywhere in Canada, Vancouver's kind of the hot spot for filming, right?
It's the hot spot for union-based service work.
Yeah.
Which is great because it generates a lot of money for the economy locally and a lot of jobs for people that are decent paying jobs. But that's there's big tax credits in British Columbia, so a lot of American productions come and shoot here because 20 or 30% of their budget is given back to them by the government here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that's why we have such a vibrant service industry. So that's not the same thing as filmmaking. As an independent filmmaker. So of course there is an indie scene here, but I think it needs a lot more love. It always has since I've been around here. I've been away for 20 plus years, so it's I'm sort of all new coming back into it. But we've got a really good little thing going with our alumni group, and it just builds every year that I'm in my fourth year now of teaching there. So.
Are there I don't know. They're your students. I don't know if you're allowed to name. Is there a one protege that you've taught through the classes that you expect to really excel?
There's a few actually.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a couple super talents. So it's not. Naming names would be meaningless at this point. But I think that's definitely
the master apprentice relationship is in work. The apprentice will one day surpass the master.
Well, I think some of them already do, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So it's I don't think of it that way. We're a collaborative unit now, so we're actually doing things together. So yeah, I was an instructor at one point, but now it's these people are literally like family to me, and we are making things together. I'm just a cog in the wheel, just like everybody else.
That's very cool. Very cool. In regards to touring, do you get the itch to do that?
I wouldn't say I get the itch. I was talking to Ogre recently about that, and we'll probably do it again. I'm 2 years away from being 60, so it's at some point either the context of that's going to change, or we're going to decide that we're not going to do that anymore. So which is fine. I've done so much of it at this point. I'm happy to do it or not do it at this point. Doesn't really matter to me, but if the opportunity arises and I have the time, then for sure I'm down.
Is it pretty much exclusively to Ogre now, or would you one tour play with another ensemble or project or group? Or?
My long-term goal is to get back into the American Memory Project with Justin, the drummer for Skinny Puppy and Ogre. And at some point, and utilize, because it's an audiovisual project, and utilize all the new technology that's accessible to us now to take that to the next level. So I could see us doing, some sort of tour, not in the kind of rock and roll tour sense. It would be probably something a little more boutique, So we'll see. I'm open to anything. It's like I still feel like I'm 20 years old and in my head. So I haven't slowed down yet.
Yeah, you're busy. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. This is the final question of the podcast to ask everybody.
All right.
In your touring experience, what was your worst venue bathroom experience?
Oh, that's easy. Actually, it's what's it called? In Philadelphia, there's an old burlesque theater, the Trocadero.
Okay.
I don't even know if they have gigs there anymore. It's beautiful because it's never been upgraded. So it's like all this like old wood, kind of rotted, gorgeous theater. And the toilets, the stalls don't even have doors on them. It's just, they're disgusting. And there's no backstage toilets or anything like that. So it's like you're kind of at the whim of, luck if you can take a piss without somebody walking in on you. Or worse. But fortunately it's in a neighborhood where there's lots of restaurants and stuff, so no big deal. But yeah, there's been some pretty heinous ones, but yeah. Yeah,
the stallless toilets are a rough one. Murray Cretin Acton of Dayglow Abortions, he had a story where he walked into the bathroom and he's like, we were eating some tacos or something, and I had to drop something major, and I go in, there's no walls, there's no door, and he's like, I go there, and eventually someone walks in and goes, oh my god, holy fucking shit really does stink, and everybody ran in and started huffing them.
I remember we played with the Dayglow Abortions when I was in Lick the Pole, and they wanted us to tour with them, and which we didn't do. But I remember the singer, we just got off stage and they walked on, and they were like, "Yeah, fucking Lick the Pole. Those two singers. That one girl, you just want to fuck her, and the other one, you just want to punch her in the face."
That's Murray.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Of course, yeah, it was good talking to you.
Appreciate it.
All right.